This is the Cool Kids Film Club Podcast. Watch films with us. So, the Oscars was on last night. Did you know?
I heard. Someone told me. I was trying to sleep through it, and just my phone was going mental. How many did Mortal Kombat win?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah. Best documentary, best animated short, Mortal Kombat, every single one. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Not bad.
Welcome to the Cool Kids Film Club Podcast, Oscars special. I am Trevor Webb, and this guy, in a suit, looking charming and fuckable, is Gavin Rye. Gavin Rye, say hi!
Hello, Trevor. How are you?
I'm good. As you know, it's Oscars week. Is that why you're looking lovely this evening?
Yeah, I just come back from the Oscars, actually.
Really? You were there?
Yeah, I was up for Best Film Podcast host.
Oh yeah? What was your highlight of the entire evening?
Probably doing crack cocaine with Johnny Depp.
Was he even there?
He didn't come out of the toilets.
Was he supposed to host?
No, he was like a special guest. You know, you go into the toilet sometimes and there's those guys that give you a bit of perfume. Yeah, it was Johnny Depp. But he gave me crack cocaine.
Oh, I see. I kind of wish I'd went.
I don't actually know if I won or not because, like I said, I didn't come out of the toilet. Me and Johnny had something good going on there. Stayed there all night.
Let's look it up. What did you say? Best podcast co-host.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won.
Oh, brilliant. I shouldn't have left without my trophy, really.
There's a picture here of you with Johnny.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, don't Google that. People at home you don't want to see that. So, I told you a while back that there's a film being made about me, didn't I?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, it's eventually started filming. Mundford is essentially just one big film set now.
Oh.
Edgar Wright is directing. And you asked at the time whether or not you would be in it. I thought it was all going to be early years stuff. But I found out you are in it.
Oh, no one told me.
Not you, you're not in it, but the character of you. Being played by Peter Dinklage.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
And Helen Mirren is reprising her role as the Queen as my love interest throughout the film.
All right. Is Elton John playing your dad?
No, that'd be silly.
All right. Fair enough.
So, we're not doing just one film this week. We're doing 8. Just four fingers. We're basically focusing on the 8 films nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Those are The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. We've watched all 8 of these movies over the last week. What did you think, Gavin? Don't tell us what your favourites are and stuff, but do you think it was a strong lineup?
Overall, yes, I would say so. I don't want to say much else, so yeah. Overall, pretty good. Pretty good films.
Yeah, I think hit and miss. There were some excellent movies in there, and then some that were not so excellent. I've given one of the films 3 out of 10, and this is a film nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
Whoa.
feathers may be ruffled. We should point out that there will not be any spoilers in this video. Usually we do spoiler reviews, but we figured not many people are going to have seen all 8 films. So we can't really talk about it and put spoilers out there because that'll piss people off, and rightly so. We're going to talk about the 8 films, but without spoilers. Just kind of small glossing over each one, putting them in an order of what we think. Putting them in an order of what we think they are, goodest to worstest. There you go. Nail that. But before we get on to our rankings, were there any awards that you didn't agree with?
What's hard to say, isn't it, without giving away my opinion. I mean, Best Picture was won by Nomadland. It wasn't my favourite.
Spoilers. I won't say what I thought of Nomadland. I'll say that later. But anything else? Anything that's not going to ruin our lists for later?
I mean, I'm glad Anthony Hopkins won, but I didn't expect him to.
I did. I put £50 on him to win at 6-1.
I'd have probably put some money on if I wouldn't have been having so many issues with all my betting apps. Just all falling apart. It's as if I've been singled out as some sort of problem in the betting world and nobody wants me. I don't know why. I mostly lose and give them money.
Don't know. Can't say why, but it was good. I liked that Best Actor award. That's one I did agree with. The one I did not really agree with was Best Actress. Frances McDormand getting it. I acknowledge that it was quite a tight thing, especially in the betting. You had Carey Mulligan from Promising Young Woman. I thought she was quite a strong contender. Viola Davis as well was very good. And I hadn't seen the film, but I've heard good things about Vanessa Kirby as well. Quite a strong field. And I don't know. Frances McDormand was one of the weakest out of them, in my opinion.
Oh, I disagree. I thought she was very good in Nomadland. Did you see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom then?
No, I have not seen the whole film, but I've seen clips of her in it. So I know, from what I've seen, she looked good. Another one I wasn't happy with at all was Mank, winning Best Cinematography. What the fuck was that about?
The cinematography was fine in it. Probably would have given that to Nomadland, to be honest.
Same.
Even if you don't like that film, it's very a lot of nice vistas and landscapes.
I've got notes on the cinematography of that later on, so when it comes up, I'll bring that up. But agreed, I would have given it to Nomadland. Mank was nominated for 10 Oscars, and my prediction was that it would win 1 for Best Production Design. I thought it might get that, but I did not peg it for Best Cinematography at all.
Well, there you go.
My only other note was that I'd have liked Bo Burnham to have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I don't think he should have got it, but I would have liked him to see him in the list.
Yeah, he's a stand-up, isn't he?
He is one of my favorites as well. He hasn't done anything for a good 5 years now. But I fucking love him. I love Bo Burnham. His 2 live comedy shows are both on Netflix, so anyone watching, check them out. Especially, it's called Make Happy from 2016. I think it was the last thing he actually did, and it's amazing. I genuinely think that it might be my most frequently watched comedy special.
If you got no more chicken, I'll take pork. But I'll blow my dad before I eat a burrito with a fork. Wouldn't I got the lettuce if I knew it wasn't? Wouldn't I got the cheese if I knew it wasn't?
So, it's time. Let's do our 8 rankings. Gavin, Dry, what was your number 8?
My number 8 for my least favourite of the 8 films that were nominated for Best Picture is Mank.
Mank. I thought you loved Mank.
Mank. I tried to trick you. I tried
Oh,
to pull one over on you.
It worked. I believed you.
I'm a big David Fincher fan. I like Alien 3, but this was tripe. What can we say about it? The cinematography is quite good, actually. There's one shot where it's just a side shot of someone driving and talking in the car, and I was looking at it thinking, this, if you didn't know these actors, this could be a 40s film. It's dead on. It's brilliant. But other than that, Gary Oldman's quite good, I suppose. But there's nothing to it. I saw it all. I finished it, yesterday, day before? I don't know what the story is about a guy who wrote Citizen Kane and then at the end. Brilliant.
Well, I wasn't going to respond too much. I was going to save my thoughts until I bring the film up. But that'll be ages, Gavin, because I've got that at number 8 on my list. It was shit. I did not like it. It was just so fucking boring. I think if you really love Citizen Kane and you really love that era and that movie and the time frame and stuff, you might half enjoy it.
I like Citizen Kane.
I said love. Do you love it?
No, I don't love it.
I think to like this film, you have to love Citizen Kane. Favorite film. It's the only people who like this.
I'll read all of my notes for it entirely. Right. Yawn. That's all I wrote for it.
I think that sums it up. So, no more time wasted on that pile of bore. My number 7, because you started, I'll do 2, then you do 2, then I do 2. That way, both of us, it takes turns, Gavin, on who goes first, you see. All right, so my number 7, and this is where it may get controversial, I feel. I feel we may start disagreeing from this point on. My number 7 is Nomadland. Winner of Best Picture at the Oscars. And it takes second to worst place for me. It's another... I was almost as bored watching this as I was watching Mank. Not quite as much. And there are some things in this that I liked. I liked that most characters in this are real people playing kind of fictional versions of themselves. I like that aspect of it. But I felt that limited the film a bit and what they could do because they were kind of limited by stuff. It didn't really tie together very well. It just felt like shot after shot of events happening to and around Francis, what's her character's name? Fern. Another positive I can say though, is the cinematography. Brought it up earlier. Some good backdrops, good scenery, but the film itself I did not love.
There we go.
Go on to your number 7, Gavin.
So my number 7 is Judas and the Black Messiah. But I would like to say, even though it's number 7, it is a 6 out of 10, and a pretty solid 6 out of 10. But I have a massive issue with this film, and that is that the main character, in my opinion, I mean, you could argue that Fred Hampton's the main character, but in my opinion, it's a film about Bill O'Neill.
Agreed.
And there's no character backstory to him whatsoever. We open it up with him stealing a car, and instantly he's like caught and, oh, you're going to have to be an informant or you're going to have to go to prison. And then we're meant to feel for him the entire time because he's an informant. Oh, it's a bit tense now. Is he going to get caught? But I know nothing about this guy. I don't know if he's got a family. It's not mentioned. We don't even see him go home. We don't know what his home life is like. We don't know if he's got a mother. It's just nothing about him. It's dreadfully written character. Fred Hampton is a far more interesting character, but he's in the background more here, and yeah, that's just my big issue with it. We're meant to follow Bill O'Neill, but given absolutely nothing to go on about him whatsoever.
All right, crack on. What's your next one?
Oh, it's me, isn't it?
Yeah.
My number 6 is Minari. Minari, another film that I was enjoying it quite a bit all the way through, and there's just a bit at the end, and I can't go into it because it's a spoiler. But the very ending of the film, I just think is so forced, especially with what person does it, because there's no point in the person. Oh, this is hard treading around. There is no point the person doing the thing that ends up doing the bad thing. There's no reason for it. And the fact that it's just, I feel like the ending is so forced in order to make us feel for the characters, and it's not needed at all. But I like the idea of it, a Korean family attempting to go for the American dream, and especially how that then gets in the way of family life, and that becomes the most important part of the film. And then the grandmother is just she's a really fantastic character. I really enjoyed her.
She is.
Yeah, she won. Yeah, she did, didn't she? She deservedly won Best Supporting Actress, was it?
Yep.
Yep. She was my favourite part. Just, I was enjoying it all the way through, and I just think massively let down by that ending that I would like to be able to talk in spoilery terms, but I cannot.
No, Gavin. Or I'll do bad things to you. Number 6 for me was Judas and the Black Messiah. So our ratings are they're kind of on par. It's just I had Nomadland.
Nomad lad. That'd be good.
Nomad lads.
Actually, it probably wouldn't be good, would it? It'd just be about a lad who's not mad.
Yeah. I mean, it's a film about the conflict between the police and a radical group called the Black Panthers, which, I mean, it was interesting. It was good. But as you've said, there aren't really any protagonists in the film. You brought up the main guy and how you didn't really sympathize with him. I didn't really sympathize with anyone in the film. You have Fred Hampton, who obviously, he's liked by some people, isn't he? But I don't know. I think even him didn't come across as that likable in this film. I thought the performance was good, but I don't know. It's hard to sympathize with a guy getting up on a stage telling crowds of people to go out and kill people.
Kill a few pigs, get a little satisfaction. Wait on. Kill some more pigs, get some more satisfaction. Kill them all, get complete satisfaction.
Well, he's only getting to that point because him and his people have been pushed to that point. He's talking about going out there and killing cops because cops are out there killing black people.
I don't know what the right path was, but I don't think spurting hate is going to fix hate. Hate does not fix hate. There was actually a good speech about that in the Oscars. I don't know if you saw it. You were too busy in the toilet with Johnny. But somebody whose name I don't actually recall at this moment, he had a whole speech about teaching his kids not to hate people, basically. And there shouldn't be any hate and it's a good speech. I just don't think hate fixes hate.
My mother taught me to refuse hate. She taught me to refuse blanket judgment. And in this time, and with all of the internet and social media and algorithms and everything that wants us to think a certain way, the 24-hour news cycle, it is my hope that all of us would teach our kids, and not only to remember, just refuse hate. Don't hate anybody. I refuse to hate someone because they are Mexican or because they are black or white or LBGTQ. I refuse to hate someone because they are a police officer. I refuse to hate someone because they are Asian. I would hope that we would refuse hate.
Well, I don't know too much about the Black Panthers, but I'm pretty sure they tried quite a bit of peaceful demonstration and got nowhere, which kind of comes up in another film.
It does. I have a note about that. So yeah, I put that in at number 6, mostly for that. As I say, he was played excellently. Fred Hampton, played by Daniel Kaluuya. I'm going to get a lot of people's names wrong in this. I apologize. And he was a massive favourite to win as well. He was 1-16 to win that, so he was one of the biggest favourites of the night. And then my number 5 is Minari. So our films have actually been very similar. It's just that I've put Nomadlads up higher than you, so it's knocked all mine down on one. This was actually, not many people know this. It wasn't actually said in the description of the film, in the trailer or anything, but this is a prequel to The Walking Dead. And it shows Glenn's life before the apocalypse, back when he was going by the name of Jacob.
Oh.
And actually, fun fact, there are 2 people in these 8 films from The Walking Dead. Did you recognize the other one?
Well, I can't remember. I haven't seen The Walking Dead in a long time.
The girl who plays Connie from The Walking Dead is also in Sound of Metal as a teacher. So anyway, Jacob, Monica, and their 2 children moved to Arkansas to break free of their chicken sexing careers and start up a farm. What did you think of the chicken sexing job? Do you think you'd be a good chicken sexer?
No, I don't think I'd be good at that. I don't like the idea of just staring at chicken genitals all day.
But yeah, what I enjoyed about this film, same as you, were the kind of couple of characters, 2 characters in it I quite liked. The main one, obviously, of the grandma. She was brilliant. One of my favourite characters in all of the movies, actually.
뻥났다. 비켜라 이놈아. 예병 데이빗 페니스 브로큰. 엄마.
It's not called a penis. It's called a ding dong.
애니까 그렇지. 오줌 좀 먹기로서 뭐 어때? 재밌었어.
엄마.
You also have the kind of religious guy, Paul, who I quite liked. He reminded me a lot of you.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
You love Jesus, don't you?
I respect him.
You do that whole crucifix walk thing every year, don't you?
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday now.
That's what he does in this.
Didn't pick up on that. So yeah, it wasn't a great film. I feel the actual plot was a bit slow, but the characters kind of helped so that you were never really bored. It's hard to say without spoilers, but the ending as well was quite predictable. I mean, you said you didn't like the ending. I didn't know about what happens, but I knew that something was going to happen, and I knew exactly what the fix to the problem would be. And I knew that from a very early point in the film.
Do you not think as well the reason for it happening is really forced.
Yes. I mean, I didn't think about it until you mentioned it earlier, but yeah, it does seem a bit odd. Anyway, on with your number, whatever number you're on. I don't know.
My number 5, and this is where I'm getting to all of these I really like now. My number 5 is Nomadland. Now, the issue I have with Nomadland is I think it's a little unbalanced, because I thought the first half is absolutely fantastic. I really like Frances McDormand's character. Like you say, said about it earlier, there isn't a lot of story to it, but it is a character piece, really, and I'm okay with that if there's a good character, and I liked her character. I enjoyed the journey, but my issue is the fact that Swanky, who she's a non-actor, and she gives this absolutely fantastic speech about how she wants to, or how she once saw these nesting birds, and just about her life on the road, and it's absolutely fantastic, to the point where I think she should have been up for Best Supporting Actress. That performance is superb, to the point where I was like, seems such a natural performance. I didn't know about the non-actors at first, and when I looked her up, I was like, she's never been in anything before. How's that? And then I realised, okay, she's just a real person. And yeah, I loved all of that stuff so much that even though I don't think the second half is bad, it's just not as good. Nothing lives up to Swanky's character. I quite like the commune that they have, where they all get together, and it looks amazing, superb landscapes. But yeah, like I say, I think it's just too much of the great stuff is in the first half.
I think that was quite generous to say the great stuff was in the first half.
Oh, that is one of my favorite. That monologue she gives is one of my favorite pieces in any film in a long time. It was brilliant. I was very taken back by that.
I thought she was a good actress. I thought the speech was fine. And it's more commendable, as you say, the fact that she isn't an actress. The problem was that at that point, I was already lost. I didn't care about the film already by that point. I don't know when that happens, but by that point, I was already like, oh my God, I don't care about this film. And you say that Fern was such a great character. I really did not think she was.
Yeah, I found her very interesting, and unlike the guy in Judas and the Black Messiah, not priest, we actually have bits about her background, and she's lost her husband, she's got family who kind of want to stop her from living the nomad lifestyle, and she's got these friends that are supporting her while she's out on the road and all this. Take some take notice, director of Judas and the Black Messiah. Actually give your characters some bloody backstory.
I agree with the backstory aspects, but other than backstory, I don't think Nomadland did anything better. Cinematography and backstory are the only things Nomadland did better than Judas and the Black Messiah. What number are you on?
That was number 5. So my number 4 is The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Ooh, really?
Yes. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. But I like the others better. So, yeah. Well, I didn't know too much about this case at all, to the point where I was watching it with Tara, and I had to ask her about whether it was true, the stuff with the bit where the guy... I was watching and thinking, well, that could never happen. And yep, it turns out it did. And just all of the stuff with Sacha Baron Cohen's character and the other guy who... I like their characters quite a bit, but I do wonder if they were a little too comic-y, especially casting Sacha Baron Cohen, who I thought was quite weirdly up for Best Supporting Actor because I thought his accent was absolutely dreadful. It was good while he was doing the Chicago bit, but then he would quite often just go into the Queen's English really badly.
You brought the accent factor up with me before this podcast, and I hadn't seen the film last time you brought it up, so I went into it expecting it to be terrible. And it wasn't that bad. I mean, I'm bad with accents and things, so they could be doing the worst accents in the world and I probably wouldn't notice. But I didn't have any issue with it.
Yeah, I just noticed quite a bit popping out. But yeah, I liked his character. It did at the end make me think that going to trial in America seems like one of the scariest things you could ever do, and especially if you're innocent.
How long ago was this? It was quite a while back as well.
Well, same time as Judas and the Black Messiah, I guess. So it was in the 70s.
That's what I liked. They're not just same characters and the same universe. They're set at the same timeline because I've got things I'll bring up when I talk about it. But anything else?
No, that'll do you.
Okay. Well, my number 4 is Sound of Metal, which I did like. But as you've said, I liked the others better. One small issue, one of the opening shots, the gig they're playing at. I hate this. In any film, or certainly big budget film, where they're playing like a gig and you get a crowd shot, that all just stood there. I don't know how many gigs you've been to, but there's moshing, circle pits, broken noses, and all kinds of shit. At this kind of metal gig, they would not just be stood there.
Oh, I disagree with quite a bit there. One, even though it's called Sound of Metal, they're clearly not a metal band at all. They're like they're like experimental indie, I'd say.
It's quite heavy. Genre aside, it's heavy music, and you would not get a crowd just stood there like that.
I also disagree with that because they're played off as, a touring band. They're not a massive band, but they're reasonable sized, and I've been to plenty of gigs where you get crowds just sat watching, especially at indie gigs, to be honest.
Have you been to anything that's this heavy and people are just stood there?
Yeah, many.
Name and shame these bands and their shitty fans.
God, can't think off the top of my head.
Well, whoever they are, they suck. Not the bands necessarily, but the fans. The fans of the bands that you're talking about suck. If they just stand there, I mean, I'm not a big dancer, Gavin. I don't dance, but I'll do a little mosh. I'll do one of them, a little jig. I'll move. I'll tap my feet. I won't just stand there motionless.
They're definitely a very hipstery band, and I think that's a hipstery thing to do, to just stand and watch.
I think it's more of a legal issue from the producers and stuff. I think if you're going to be filming live music and a crowd, I'm not sure legally you can say, oh yeah, go crazy. Do what you want. Just run into each other. Pretend you're at a real gig. Because all it takes is somebody to get hurt and then they get sued, and that's just a small issue as well. That's not a big issue. I didn't docket points for it or anything, but it's just something I've noticed in a few films. But the film as a whole, it's have you ever lost hearing in one of your ears?
Yes, oddly, I was talking to Keir when I was chatting to him about Sound of Metal when years ago when I went to Tenerife. I can only assume it was something on the plane that just ruined my hearing for the entire holiday, and it sounded like I had water in my ears, but it was also a really low volume. And oddly, I was listening to 2 albums during that time that when I listen to now, they just don't sound the same because I was hearing it through some weird filter.
Yeah, I've had it as well. I've had it a few times in my life. It's just wax build up and then you can't hear all of a sudden. And it's not fun. And I don't think I've ever seen a film that portrays what it would be like to lose your hearing completely, or like 90% or 95% of his hearing. I don't think I've seen a film that portrays that as well as this film did. I thought the sound design was excellent, and just it really made you kind of feel for what it would feel like.
Yes, I agree.
And the girl who plays Connie in The Walking Dead, I have got a note of her name here. She was Lauren Ridloff. She plays Diane, the teacher at the Center for the Deaf. And fun fact about her, she is genuinely deaf in the real world. And before she was an actress, she was a teacher. And in this film, she is playing a teacher.
And she was Miss Deaf America 2018.
She was indeed. So yeah, I really liked the premise of this film. I really liked the sound design, as I said. The first 40 to 50 minutes were great. I've seen a lot of people say that they really loved the stuff once he goes to the deaf center. I don't know if that's what it's called. But I felt it kind of slowed down at that point. There were some good scenes at this center, including one excellent scene with a slide. But I just felt the first half was better than the second half.
Sound of Metal is actually my number 3. I thought a lot like you, the way it portrays him losing his hearing, that scene in particular where he comes off stage halfway through a gig, I found it really hard hitting. Like, you really get the impression, that drumming and music is his life. I mean, that's literally what they do. They are on the road. They make albums. It seems like they actually make their albums on that little RV because they've got a mixing board on there. So, like, music is his entire life. And yeah, when he loses his hearing during that gig and runs outside, I very much felt that. It was a very hard-hitting moment. And I think as much as the scene where he loses his hearing is really hard-hitting, I don't think there was enough of them on the road at the beginning. I think a little bit more of that, especially since the very first thing you see is he's getting the ringing in his ears. I think just a couple of short bits of them on tour, gigging, where he's fine, just would make that scene where he loses his hearing even more hard-hitting.
Okay. How many what was your last one before Sound of Metal?
What, my number 4 was Trial.
So we're into the top 3. The qualifying positions, these are the 3 that matter. There were some other good films, but these 3, for me at least, I loved 2 of them, and I really liked one of them. And the one I really liked was number 3, The Father. So there's a running joke, if anyone's familiar with Richard Herring, he has a running joke about not knowing whether or not anything is really happening or whether he's just a senile old man in a nursing home stood in front of a mirror imagining everything. And this film takes that idea of that dementia of being old and not knowing what's happening and just takes it to the next level. And I felt it was done brilliantly. Much like with Sound of Metal, it makes the viewer kind of aware of what it's like to be deaf. This film really, I mean, I've never had dementia, so I don't know. But I mean, this is how I imagine it would feel. I think it did a good job of it. And of course, Anthony Hopkins, who won Best Actor, he was superb in this. The script was great as well. It won Best Adapted Script, Best Adapted Screenplay, sorry, because it was originally a play. Did you know that this play had already been turned into a film that wasn't this?
No, I did not. I knew it was a play, but I did not know.
Some French film, I don't know the title of it, but the writer didn't have much creative control over it, and he didn't like it, basically. And I think he's made this version as a much truer representation.
Very interesting.
His character was a little bit inappropriate, racist at times, but I liked those aspects of it. He has some good lines.
So I'm going to go and live there.
Were you in Paris? You're not going to do that, are you, Anne? I mean, wake up, they don't even speak English.
I liked that. And then he has a scene with one of the people who are coming to look after him.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you a nun?
No.
Then why are you speaking to me as if I'm retarded?
Me?
Yes.
It's inappropriate language that you shouldn't say, but he's an old senile man and it's forgivable, and he's a great character and I loved him.
It's not none, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
it was...
that's what I wrote down. Yeah, the relationship with his daughter is also very good, very well layered. You've got the whole aspect of the other daughter, and so from her perspective, backstory, Gavin, you're talking about that a lot. The character of the daughter has a lot of backstory and a lot of layers to her performance. I mean, the film as a whole is quite a simple premise, but there's quite a lot to it in the layers of things, and I enjoyed it. It was a good film, very good film.
It is indeed.
So I was in at number 3. Number 2 for me was... There's not many left. Basically, for me, there are Trial of a Chicago 7 and Promising Young Woman left. So it's going to be one of them. And the order I've just told you those has probably told you what order they are in my list. Second for me was Trial of a Chicago 7, which I really enjoyed. I don't like courtroom dramas, really. I don't like them. This came up with Dark Waters last week. I don't like the genre much, but this was written brilliantly. It had elements of humor, brilliant characters. I liked Sacha Baron Cohen's character. I didn't mind his accent. I just thought the script, everything was brilliant. It was edited very well. I enjoyed it. And yeah, it's got a great cast. It's got Sacha Baron Cohen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and a guy called John Doman, who I knew, but I didn't know how I knew that I knew him, if that makes sense. So I had to look him up, and he was Carmine Falcone from Gotham.
Oh.
And as you stated earlier, one of us stated earlier, it was the second Best Picture film nominated this year, featuring members from the Black Panthers, including Fred Hampton, who is in both films. And quite an integral plot point of the Judas and the Black Messiah film is referenced in this. So I won't say what it is because it's quite a key point, but it's referenced. So it's actually happening at the same time frame. The two movies are interlaced, which I enjoyed. That's all I'm saying about that, I think. keeping it short and sweet. I liked it, but yeah, short and sweet. Didn't have many notes. I just enjoyed it.
So we're on to my number 2.
Yes.
Which will give away my number 1. I have only got, and I'm going to give them in a random order. I've only got The Father and Promising Young Woman left to rank.
2 excellent movies.
Yes, very much so. My number 2 is Promising Young Woman. Fantastic film. Carey Mulligan is absolutely superb. I remember when I watched it thinking whether in a normal non-COVID year whether this would be up for Best Oscar. It just doesn't seem like something that normally would. Can't even put my finger on why, but
I think Best Picture nominees are usually films that tackle pressing issues in the community, aren't they? And I feel this does that more so than any of the other films nominated this year.
While it does, it's there's quite a few. I mean, you could argue that it's a horror film, and the Academy does not like horror films. Very rarely do they get nominated for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that was probably my thinking on that. But yeah, like you say, it is a very timely film with the whole Me Too movement. And I quite like as well, I mean, it is at its core, it is a rape revenge film, but it's quite interesting in that I don't think it's given anything away to say that the revenge is coming from somebody that isn't the direct victim, which is I thought a quite interesting twist on things.
Which took me quite a while to figure out, actually. Quite a long way through the film, I thought she was the victim. That's just me being slow, probably. But
yeah, I was going to say, I think it's brought up quite a few times. It isn't. Carey Mulligan's fantastic, and I like the way, I mean, that ending, I don't think you could see.
According to Wikipedia, white is a colour. White light can be made by putting all the other colours of light on the spectrum together. These other colours are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet.
There you go.
that was probably the best part of this podcast.
I don't even know what it thought I said. Just white, I think. I didn't even say white, did I? I don't even know what I was saying. I've lost my... That person, I don't want to say her name. It's ruined me. But yeah, I think I was saying I don't know. I didn't see where the ending was going at all, and it's quite hard. It makes you think it's going one way, and it doesn't, which I quite enjoyed. And yeah, it doesn't end as you'd expect, or certainly not as I expected. And also, I believe it's a debut, isn't it? From Emerald Fennell.
And she won Best Original Screenplay for this.
Yeah, good screenplay, so deserved there. And that is my number 2.
Wow.
Which leads me on. It's me, isn't it? Leads me on to number 1. My number 1 is...
Mortal Kombat.
Mank.
Oh.
Mank. In a strange twist of fate, it was my least favourite and my favourite because I think it was meant to bore me, and my word did it bore me. So brilliant, great work. But it isn't my number 1. My number 1 is The Father. As one of my favourite films I've seen in a long time. Absolutely brilliant. Anthony Hopkins' performance. I was looking through all of the films of his I've seen, and I think this is his best performance that I've seen. He's absolutely brilliant. And the idea that he wasn't the favourite to win, and I was like, no. But he did win, and that was good. I just thought it was absolutely brilliant the way it put across dementia. It put it across almost in like a Lynchian, like a David Lynch film, like a surreal nightmare. really makes you as confused as he is to start with. The way it put it across in this strange, surreal manner was just fantastically well done. And obviously, I've not gone through dementia, but how bad my memory is, I feel like it's in my future. I can only imagine this probably is what it feels like. So, yeah, my number one, The Father. Superb.
Good pick. My battery's getting low, so I'm just getting a charger. Wanted to wait till you were done rather than interrupt you. So we've had your number one. Now it's time for my number one. And the only film left that I have not mentioned yet is Promising Young Woman. For me, it was close between this and Trials of the Chicago 7, but this just felt so much more pressing for today's world. The issues of this nice guy culture of just dickheads basically being twats and thinking it's okay. And I think you were bringing up off air that there are quite a lot of negative reviews about this film. I think it's because this nice guy culture, so many people think that they are nice guys. And this film really does just point the finger at those people and says, no, you're not. You're not nice. You're a dick. And I thought it was done excellently. You also have Bo Burnham, which I brought up earlier. Love the guy. I thought he was excellent in this. You also have Jennifer Coolidge, who is Stifler's mum. But do you know what she is best known for, Gavin?
Stifler's mum? What she's best known for?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
What?
She's best known for the Louis C.K. film Pootie Tang.
No. She is best known for her appearance as Bonnie in a TV show called The Cool Kids.
Oh, don't know it.
You don't have to know it. The Cool Kids, Gavin. So, I like that when I saw it. So, I just felt in a world of female remakes of classic movies, Ghostbusters, for instance, the world was crying out for something like this, which is about feminism and about women's rights and things, but not done badly. Like, this was done excellently, and it's just refreshing to see a film with views and standings that I can actually get behind, and you know, I was on her side. It's an entertaining film as well, with a point to make. It has moments of comic relief, mostly from Bo Burnham. There's a couple of brilliant scenes actually with him.
Ryan, I hear you're a doctor. Your parents must be very, very proud.
Not really. They wanted me to be a DJ.
I quite like that, and it's quite relevant.
I don't think that I can handle this right. I don't think that I can handle this right. I look at them, they're just staring at me like, come and watch the skinny kid with a steadily declining mental health, and laugh as he attempts to give you what he cannot give himself.
The relationship as well between Ryan and Cassandra was, I felt, very genuine. The chemistry was brilliant. I quite liked the scene where they tell each other they love each other, and she says, I think I'm falling in love with you too. And he says, oh my God, I'm going to buy you a bicycle. It's just, it makes no sense, but I loved that line. Don't know why. It made me do a literal lol.
I think I'm falling in love with you too.
Oh my God.
Don't make a thing of it.
I'm gonna buy you a bicycle.
No.
I wanna buy you a
Ryan, be
bicycle.
cool.
I'm cool.
It's got McLovin in as well.
It does. I should have probably brought him up, but I feel it's done this intentionally kind of put all these lovable characters in and recognizable characters that we look at and don't expect them to be arseholes, but then have them play arseholes. And I think that's definitely a conscious decision.
Could be, yeah.
I'm a nice guy.
Are you?
And yeah, I just really fucking loved it. It's a great film. I like horror films, as people probably know, and I like the horror aspect of it, and it has a point to make. Moments of comedic genius, and even without all of that, it's just worth watching it just to see Bo Burnham sing again. To be fair, he hasn't done a show for like 5 years, so it's worth it just for that, even if it is just a scene of him singing along to a Paris Hilton song. It's better than nothing.
Oh yeah, that scene. Do you think that scene's done purposefully being a bit cliched? Because it's like they've just fallen in love, they're having these moments. It's almost like straight out of a rom-com, but I feel like it's purposefully so.
Yes, to a degree. There's a lot, like the color palette of the scene and everything being very kind of candy-like. I think they're definitely going for a certain tone with parts of it. Yes, I think the song and things, and for music in general, one of the best songs in the film was a kind of classical rendition of Toxic by Britney Spears, which I loved.
I always liked that song regardless, and you'll do well to find someone as anti-pop as me, or more anti-pop than me, but I always liked Toxic.
It's a classic. It's just got everything you want from a film. It's got horror, it's got a message, it's got comedy, it's got great acting, great cast. I liked it. I loved it, actually. And I gave it 8 out of 10, and that was my best picture.
There we go, then. We've sorted it out. We've decided that the Oscars were wrong.
Yeah, and Promising Young Woman was the official CKFC Best Picture.
No, The Father.
Are you sure?
Yes.
What did you give The Father out of 10?
9.
What did you give Promising Young Woman out of 10?
8.
So I gave Promising Young Woman 8 and The Father 7. I think the only fair way to settle this, Gavin, we both think different films should be Best Picture. Let's go to Keir. He's a man in my shed. He's done us another segment, and I believe he's going to give us his rankings of the films.
I think that is the best thing you've said all year.
Cool. I'm going to cheer for Keir. Yay! Woo! Yeah! Flash tits.
To Keir.
Ah, the Oscars. A parade of self-congratulatory, self-serving, virtue-signalling, capitalist-promoting pomposity rolled round again. This year, brought to you from Conference Room 3 of the Thistle Hotel, Luton. Hosted by a stream of previous winners and Riz Ahmed, who got to present his own film with an award, which was nice. That's how we're doing it this year, guys. We also got to witness the death of Chadwick Boseman being used as bait to keep people around as they shuffled the order of the awards so that Best Actor was presented last, appearing at best sexist and at worst disgracefully and distastefully exploitative. The Best Actor award eventually going to an elderly man in Wales who was too busy painting landscapes to even appear by video link. That's a bit unfair, really, isn't it? I mean, Anthony Hopkins is about 175, and it would be very difficult to keep a man of that age up until 4 a.m. in the morning. Could have caught him on a mid-sleep toilet break, though, surely, no? Not like Sacha Baron Cohen, who took his commitment to the extreme by creating two rather lifelike waxworks of himself and his non-nominated wife, confident in the fact that neither one of them would be required to do any sort of acceptance speech or even move throughout the duration of the evening. Frances McDormand showed just what another Oscar meant to her, keeping her acceptance speech to a mercifully short 0.75 seconds, whereas London-born Daniel Kaluuya almost did an American person's impression of a London accent as he accepted his Best Actor award for Best Supporting Actor. And Hugh Yun-jun taught us exactly how to pronounce her name. Sorry. Before endearingly flirting with a statue of Brad Pitt apparently carved from a rugged cliff edge. Well, she is only human. Oh, and Mank got an award for... what was it? Completing? But enough of that. Let's look at the Best Picture Award. Normally considered to be the highlight of the year, the pièce de résistance, the apex of this silly show that we all love and love to mock. Wasn't the highlight this year though, was it? No, that went to the men. Remember that. The highlight this year was the men. The men. Anyway, here is my rundown of the nominees, in reverse order of greatness. Number 8, Mank. One letter upside down away from being a totally apt title. This writer's circle jerk of a movie boasted within its ranks Gary Oldman recreating his Friends cameo for 2.5 hours, Amanda Seyfried winning an Oscar nomination for wearing a headdress well, and a behind-the-scenes look at the writing of Citizen Kane. Not even the making of Citizen Kane, which no one would have cared about anyway, the writing of it. To think, in a world where stunt people are refused recognition, here we have a 150-minute epic about a man who wrote a film while he was pissed. And it gets nominated for 10 awards. It was shot in black and white though, so... Next up, Nomadland. The eventual winner for Best Picture and featuring apparently an Oscar-winning performance from Frances McDormand. Again. We all knew she'd win deep down really though, didn't we? I mean, she got naked and she weed and pooed on screen. Say what you will, but sorry Vanessa Kirby, that is talent. A film about absolutely nothing does exactly what you think it will do. A film about nice people, meeting nice people and being nice. Lots of, albeit gorgeous shots of landscapes are aided considerably by the landscapes being gorgeous in the first place. Like taking a photo of the Grand Canyon and claiming credit for its creation, Chloe Zhao also walked away with Best Director. It is marvellously hypocritical in a way that only the Academy could be. That a movie so staunchly set apart from capitalism would win the Academy Award for Best Picture. A ceremony so unashamedly lavish that their gift bags for the chosen elite are reportedly worth a whopping $230,000. A free gift bag that director Chloe Zhao and Frances McDormand would have been entitled to. The greatest marvel about this movie is that even David Strathairn could not make this a movie that you'd want to see at best more than once. And even then, if somebody gave you a rough idea of what happens in the movie, you'd probably choose not to watch it. Nothing happens, by the way. Nothing. In at 6, Judas and the Black Messiah. Two lead actors compete for Best Supporting Actor. That is the big story here. Well, it's not. Obviously it isn't. The big story is of Frank Hampton, the chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. And it is a stunning story. It is gripping, it is saddening, it is shocking, it is appalling, it is terrifying, and in the end it is utterly heartbreaking. On paper. On film, apparently not so much. Daniel Kaluuya does put in an award-winning performance, but I'm also surprised that he didn't win for Best Costume Design, as apparently you can just go into any category nowadays. Lakeith Stanfield, French for The Keith, and Jesse Plemons are also very good, but everything just appears a bit messy. Shame. Top 5 now, kids. Sound of Metal. This, albeit rather formulaic drama, does benefit from having one of the finest performances of the year in Riz Ahmed. And it's this performance that probably got this movie to any sort of prominence. He really is excellent. And Paul Raci is fine too. Look, He seems like a cool dude with his painted nails and his long flowing sandy locks. He's the kind of guy that I would love to meet. But he doesn't really need to do much in this movie. He sits thoughtfully and quietly, and then when the time comes, he says his lines. Yes, he says them well. Yes, they are good lines. But it's not groundbreaking work. Oscar worthy? Not a chance. To find being in its presence a relaxing and cathartic experience? Absolutely. The movie itself is enjoyable enough, although, maybe poetically, it is rather signposted the whole way through. For The Trial of the Chicago 7. Now this movie is so high up because I love a courtroom drama. That's pretty much it. And it's a doozy too, with a banging cast. Love courtroom dramas? Love Trial of the Chicago 7. 3. Promising Young Woman. Now this is current. This is important. This is a punch in the gut. This is a horror. This is a comedy. This is a drama. Basically, a vital and vibrant Jason Pollock of genres. The production design on this is fecking gorgeous. The performances across the board are incredible, but Carey Mulligan is absolutely breathtaking. Christ, this is what it feels like to have your favourite indie flick get the recognition that it deserves. Just stunning. Watch this film. The fact that I've got it only at number 3 means I don't really need to go into much detail about the top 2. All you need to know is that they're even better than Promising Young Woman. 2. Minari. Even better than Promising Young Woman. Done. Number 1. The Father. Okay, so this is one of the most unique films of recent times. Certainly one of the most unique Academy Award nominated films of recent times. A movie about dementia shown from the perspective of the person suffering from it. Now, I can imagine that the stage version of this, from which it is adapted, could come across as a confusing, unfollowable, somewhat conceited mess. But on film, this is anything but. It is remarkable. It is thoroughly haunting and wholly devastating. And if you're not holding back buckets at its finale, well, I question your mental capabilities. And yes, Sir Anthony Hopkins puts in probably his finest performance since ever. Look, it's film of the year, no doubt. Thankfully, Mortal Kombat missed a cut-off point this year, because going up against that would have been a fight. Anyway, Nomadland won, it shouldn't have. Minari should have, it didn't. The Father could have, and Promising Young Woman will leave the greatest legacy. Expect to see that film at your local pop-up soon, and for the rest of time. Pre-sale tickets for its secret cinema event are probably already being created. Alright, now before I go, has everyone checked behind the back of their sofas for that Bond film? It is worth a fair bit of money, and yeah, Hollywood would like it back. Laters.
So that was Keir Mills back again with another excellent segment, and it seems like he agrees with you, The Father, in at his number 1, which, I mean, I'm no mathematician, Gavin, but you've said The Father, number 1. Keir said The Father, number 1. I said Promising Young Woman, number 1. And 2... I think, is a higher number. Higher, isn't it? It's bigger than 1. Is that right?
2 is the bigger number, yes.
Well, then that makes the official CKFC 2021 Best Picture of these 8, because, I mean, we're going to watch other films throughout the year, but at this moment in time from the Oscars, The Father. Dun, dun, dun.
The film that was least favourite to win.
Yeah. So there's one thing left to do, and that is to pick next week's film. We're back to picking a film from our listeners. Hi, guys. So should we do that? Should we give up the number generator? You going to do a guess for us? Give us a number.
12.
It is actually number 9.
And that film is They Live, chosen by Debbie Webb. So that will be our next week's film.
I thought Debbie had I Care a Lot still on the Facebook, isn't it?
She has changed her film. She changed it a few weeks back. So anyone can do that anytime. If you don't want the film that you had, you can change it. You still keep all your entries, but you just put a different film in. You can do that anytime you wish.
I used to have a signed copy of They Live, signed by Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Nice. Who is in the film?
Yeah, I sold it though.
Fair enough. So, I mean, I think we're done, Gavin. I'm done. You done?
Yeah, I'm done with the Oscars.
Bye!
See ya.
This is the Cool Kids